Don't touch that dial. It's the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. The Medicare podcast that was great before electricity. After taking 5 years of French, all he's able to do is irritate Frenchies. Medicare expert Doug Jones.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another thrill-packed episode of the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's another magnificent day here in Arizona, at least for Randy and I, although I hear the rest of the country is suffering through some massive ice and snow storms that happen in January every year. Pretty much every year, I guess. And so we shouldn't be surprised that the weather is different in different places. In any event, we are here to help you feel much more confident about your interaction with Medicare whenever that may occur. It may be coming up soon, or it may be, frankly, it may be a while from now. I'm watching one of my neighbors walk by, and I get distracted so easily because my eyeballs just want to stare out at the mountains in Arizona, and when anything interesting happens out there, I get so distracted. But here's what I suggest for those of you who are thinking about Medicare and who would like to have an experience with Medicare, who would like to interact with Medicare on a more permanent basis eventually. And what I suggest is that you go to barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com, and when you get to one of those two sites, there's going to be a search window so that you can find the item that you're most interested in among all the things they sell. And if you type in Medicare for the Lazy Man 2024, you will find that they are ready to sell you the latest book about Medicare from Medicare for the Lazy Man. That's me, I guess. What you do is you buy that book. Now at Amazon, you got some choices to make. You can buy the paperback version. You can buy the Kindle version. That's very inexpensive. That's about $4.80. You can buy the Audible version and listen to it, or you can buy the massively crafted $24 version of the hardcover book. In any event, you can buy any one of those items at Amazon, or you can buy a great-looking paperback with colorful illustrations at Barnes & Noble. And you can take that home with you. You know, you're at the website, they'll just hand it to you, I think. That's how I've heard that online stores work. In any event, at some point, you'll be able to sit down with a stiff drink and read that book. It won't take you too long to read. It's probably an hour to an hour and a half. Some people that move their lips, 2 hours. But you will have gained so much Medicare knowledge that you're going to have a whole new outlook on the whole Medicare process and what you need to do and when you need to do these things. And then you will also have a very important piece of information. That's going to be my contact information. And when you get within several months of your official start of Medicare, all you have to do is use that contact information that you found for me, send me an email and say, hey, my time is nigh. That's spelled N-I-G-H. And I will spring into action on your behalf. And pretty soon you will be enrolled in Medicare, plus a Medicare supplement, plus a drug plan that may cost you $0 per month, and any additional coverages that you may be interested in. And your concern about Medicare will be a thing of the past. So Medicare for the Lazy Man 2024. Be aware that I'm working feverishly on the 2025 version, but it's like treading water in quicksand. So I don't know when it's going to happen. So those of you that are looking at Medicare encounters coming up in the next couple of months, go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon.com and buy the 2024 version of the book. It'll stand you in good stead. Speaking of standing in good stead, Randy is standing between me and a very homey and comfortable looking bar. And I don't like it when people stand between me and the bar. I want them to get out of the way so I can order my drink. Randy.
Oh, I totally understand. Did I tell you that's in my basement? That's actually my basement.
Well, Arizonans don't have basements, so how did you manage that?
I knew you knew that. But But I wish it was my basement.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something right now. I have talked to experts about basements in Arizona, and every one of them has said there's no reason not to have a basement in Arizona. It's only because the contractors here don't have any basement building experience, and so nobody has basements just because it's like the thing to do.
Right, right. And at one point in time, I thought I had some particular reason that they don't. Well, I don't. I know they don't like digging them here because of the. It's extra work because of the caliche and the rocks they run into and all that crap.
I'm willing to pay for it. I'm not
Well,
going to ask them
yeah,
to do it
I
for
would,
free.
I would be too, but but right now because my house is already sitting on something, it would be kind of, really counterproductive to try to pick it up and put it in there unless I just
Yeah.
built a new house.
Well, yeah, obviously the thing we do have in Arizona that they don't have in a lot of places is post-tension slabs. So if they're going to
Right.
pour a slab to build a house on, it's a post-tension slab, and that would make it even worse to try to dig up something underneath it, I think.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and this probably sounds clear out of the zone of what we're talking about, but as you know, that would disturb all the termites in the county, and then they would eat your house anyway.
Well, here's the deal. I've got a termite guy, and I have never had termites, but the houses on either side of me have had termites. And so I asked him one time, he was treating the house on one side, and I said, how come I've never had termites? These idiots on one side, my nice neighbors on the other side have both had termites. What's the deal with my house? I said, am I just like an accident waiting to happen? He said, some houses just never get termites, and we don't know why. So I
Really?
guess
Well,
maybe I got
I
a good
wish
shot
I
at
had
having.
one of those because when I bought this house, they said, well, bottom line is you got to get termite control. And I said, why? Has it got termites? And they said, if it doesn't now,
It
it
will.
will.
Sure, sure. Well, the other thing I have to say, I've heard from Rosie on the House, which is my new favorite podcast on Saturday mornings, is that in Arizona, we have two things which I've known were not available or were not normal construction back in Illinois. One is that our electrical panels are all outside.
Yeah.
And any criminal miscreant can just walk up to your panel unless you put a lock on it and open that sucker up and start flipping, breakers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No, it's
it's,
absolutely true.
I guess the explanation is that the fire department wants to be able to turn the power off when they come and rescue you from your burning house that's flooded with your sprinkler system.
And termites.
Oh, yeah, the termites want to be, yes, the termites want to be rescued too, Randy. That's true. Well, the other thing is in Arizona, and I thought this was just my subdivision with our unique floor plans and everything, but in many newly constructed homes in Arizona, all over the place, I guess, the bathrooms don't have doors. The bathrooms that are en suite, as the Canadians would say, like we have two master bedroom
Right.
suites, and the bathrooms do not have doors. Now I put up barn doors because my people from my winter visitors feel a little
Hey,
weird.
Bill, how you doing, Bill?
Hand me another magazine, will you?
Oh,
So
so you originally your house didn't have any doors on them?
right. Now, of course, you got a little potty room,
Well,
but
yeah. Well,
still.
I've got doors on mine, man.
Well, your house is a little older. What year was your house built?
We built it. Well, we didn't build it. We were the second
Yeah.
owner, but 97.
Okay, ours is '04.
So apparently
So,
doors became non,
well,
you
they
know,
became unfashionable.
oh,
Unfashionable, I guess.
well, I don't think doors to a bathroom are ever unfashionable.
Well, our guest bathroom has doors, or a door, but
Yeah.
the ensuite, as the Canadians say, bathrooms, the bedroom suites, they
Yeah.
have just
Yeah.
big holes in the wall.
Well, I just in case you ever need to know, Doug, when you're over, I got doors on everything, so that's not a problem.
Well, you might want to get with the times because in Arizona, apparently that's out of fashion now. I'll tell you what's not out of fashion is talking about Medicare Advantage and helping people
I
understand
know.
the dangers of Medicare Advantage and the reasons why they would never want to ever have a Medicare Advantage plan.
Well, other than just listening to B going, don't go there,
Yeah.
I did fulfill my requirement last night while I was in preparation phase for recording today. I chose the first. I chose a number, as I do. I
Right.
chose a number to pick out for Medicare Disadvantage Minute, and it's number 14.
Wow, that's hard to believe that number 14 is, oh, it's not even on the first page, it's on the second page. Well, what Randy's talking about here is that he takes this responsibility very seriously. The number he picks out from the list of from one to one time you told me it's 474. I think it's only 36, really. But Randy chooses a number that corresponds to a random Medicare Advantage article that I have, or that the content curator has curated for our benefit. So I'm going to cross out number 14 so that we don't ever accidentally read that one again. And I will then pick article number 14 out of the stack. So in order to do that, I've got to tighten the vise on the massive horse clamp. Oh God, this thing gets harder and harder. Ugh. If you hear a scream, it's just me accidentally getting bitten by this giant clamp I have the whole thing in.
Would
Okay,
you rather get bit by that clamp or a bear trap?
well, let me think about that because I've seen bear
Ah,
traps.
because I think they're about the same.
Yeah, this one is. It doesn't have any teeth though, so I guess I'll go with this clamp. Alrighty, let's tackle the article that Randy has selected for us, and I think this is one that's escaped the highlighter, the wrath of the yellow highlighter that the content curator normally uses. So let's dig into this and see how far we get. The headline is Humana's Medicare Advantage Dilemma Worsens Amid Precipitous Drop in 2025 Star Ratings. Humana's Medicare Advantage headache is going from bad to worse. Now, Humana is not the biggest insurance company in America, but it's one of the biggest, especially one of the biggest when it comes to health insurance and Medicare Advantage plans. They have a ton of people on Medicare Advantage plans. And frankly, they announced a couple of years ago when they were flying high, when there was big profit to be made by robbing the Treasury and by taking on new clients and then pulling shenanigans to make them seem sicker than they really are so that the government would cough up even more of our tax dollars. Humana was going great guns, and they announced that they were going to be concentrating their business efforts on government-funded health insurance because that's where the easy pickings were. They didn't say that that's why they were doing it, but we know exactly why. Well, all of a sudden, they might have been slapped down in their aspirations. So they might want to take a new look at their business activities going forward, and perhaps concentrate on freedom of choice would be what I would suggest. Anyway, here we go. The number of Humana members enrolled in top-rated Medicare Advantage plans next year is expected to plummet, threatening the insurer's ability to bring in rebates and bonus payments and throwing the company's chances of turning a profit in 2026 into doubt. That means they're going to be shaking all during 2025, and Randy's playing his violin. Usually he's got a little tiny violin he plays, but this one is full size. And he's telling me that we also are late for our commercial break, but when I look at my timer, I disagree. So I'm gonna plow ahead in this, and only 25% of Humana members will be in plans with quality ratings of 4 stars or above next year. This is down from 94%. So their silly star rating system, which in my view is not really based in reality, but it's the best they could come up with to appeal to simpletons that don't question Medicare Advantage. They don't question the advertising that they see on television. They don't question anything. So they have developed this star rating system, and if a plan has, I think it's 5 stars, then they are said to be the top of the heap, and they've created a special enrollment plan for anybody who wants to move from a lower rated plan to a 5-star plan. Anytime they want to, they can do that. But reading on with this, they have 94% of Humana Medicare Advantage people in a 5-star plan this year. or 4 stars or above, and it's going to be 25% next year. That's a huge drop. So if they're going to live and die by the star rating system, then I'm going to help them do that, because frankly, they are not using that system in the way that indicates real quality as far as I am concerned. The star rating system measures plan quality on a scale from 1 to 5 stars. Higher stars give insurers favorable positioning in the program in addition to lucrative bonuses. As such, insurers defend these stars fiercely, while investors watch warily for any changes. Humana attributed its steep drop in stars for the year 2025 to narrowly missing higher industry cut points on a small number of measures. It's putting lipstick on a pig, I think, is what that statement is doing. It said it's appealing certain results with the government, and there are also actions the insurers can take to blunt the impact of the stars, losses on earnings, such as reducing benefits. Still, Humana could face a big hit, ranging from $1 billion to $3 billion, according to various analyst estimates. That would be hurting and even potentially wiping out the company's bottom line. Humana reported a net profit of $2.5 billion last year. I think that must have been 2023. We just finished 2024. I don't think they've had time to develop a bottom line net profit for 2024 yet. Humana's stock fell 11% over, I don't know what day this thing was published, but over Wednesday's trade to reach a lowest point since early 2020. Although our quality measures are still very high, performance improved. Randy's playing his violin again. Performance improvements across the industry and CMS methodology changes have raised the bar for achieving 4 and 5 star performance. So they're saying that the rules have changed. They're doing fine. It's the rules that have changed, and they're whining that that's unfair. We have initiatives already underway to improve our performance for future star ratings. The spokesperson, they can't call it a spokesman anymore. The spokesperson declined to comment on the expected impact of Humana's finances in 2026. And I'm inclined to think that's going to be a negative impact based on what they said earlier in this article. Meanwhile, large plans from other Medicare Advantage payers appear to have maintained their stars. So it's only Humana that's taken this hit. Well, if you're going to live by the Medicare Advantage and you're going to screw over your customers, then I would say you should die by the Medicare Advantage, if in fact that's what it comes down to. So I'm going to file this away in the circular file, and I'm going to follow Randy's advice and go to a commercial break and contemplate the future of Humana. I might have to sell my stock while we're make a phone call. Excuse me, Randy. Alrighty, we're back, and I managed to dump my Humana stock. And I hope I didn't depress the price too much for anybody else that's ready to do the same thing. But based on that article, it doesn't sound like the future of Humana's Medicare Advantage plans is as strong as they thought it was going to be. All righty. Now, another thing that we like to do on a regular basis is dive into a new publication that the government came up with. It is called Your Medicare Benefits 2024. It's got a picture of a kind of an odd-looking woman who's wringing her hands on the cover, but the whole point of the thing is to go through alphabetically everything that Medicare covers, and how does it cover it, and why does it cover it, and when does it cover it, and it's broken down into the various items. Now, you can go to Medicare.gov, and they have a search window. In the search window, you can type in, is my item covered? Or is my service covered? And that's the name of their big file. It'll take you right to that part of the website, and it's a lengthy page after page after page of list of all the things that appear in this book. But we find it more fun to go through the book. We had fun with it a few years ago when they mentioned dancing. So when I get to the D's, Randy's going to be pretty excited about finding out whether dancing instruction is a covered Medicare expense. But right now, today, we are into ambulatory surgical centers. Ambulatory surgical centers are outpatient facilities that perform surgical procedures. Okay, I think we figured that out. In most cases, ambulatory surgical centers release patients within 24 hours. Part B, as in Bravo, of Medicare, covers facility fees related to approved surgical procedures that you get in these centers. Now, one thing I found out in Medicare that is not an approved surgical procedure is a procedure that Roy had done a few years ago, which was considered to be experimental because they had not paid for very many of these things. And then another thing I heard more recently is eye lifts, or there's some surgical procedure to make ladies' eyes look better, more enticing, and that is not covered by Medicare either. Yeah, Randy's covering up his eyes. That's how he would do it. Anyway, so going back to ambulatory surgical centers, the costs. Here's how they handle the costs. After you meet the Part B deductible, which is $257 this year, you pay 20% of the Medicare approved amount to both the ambulatory surgical center and the doctors who treated you. You pay nothing for certain preventive services like a screening colonoscopy if the doctor or other healthcare provider accepts assignment. However, you may have to pay other costs associated with the preventive services. For example, if your healthcare provider removes a polyp during a screening colonoscopy, you may have to pay 15% of the Medicare approved amount. You also pay all facility fees for non-covered procedures that you might get in an ambulatory surgical center. If you want more information about how Medicare treats ambulatory surgical centers, visit medicare.gov/coverage/ambulatory-surgical-centers. So that's pretty exciting stuff there. Now, what is one bad thing that can happen to people that we don't ever like to hear about? But it's a fairly small amount of the population. That thing, I'm going to tell you what it is because I'm sure you're having trouble thinking about what I might be referring to. I have something coming up ahead of that. If I'm going to stick to my schedule, remember that question, and I'm going to go to something the content curator has been pushing at me for weeks now because she thinks that this is something that Randy and I should discuss. And I said, I don't think so because I don't think Randy's going to find this to be interesting. And she said, oh, come on, it'll be good. You'll enjoy it. So here's the headline in the article that I was asked to discuss with you, Randy. The headline is "The Gross Truth About Flies on Your Food. Should You Eat or Toss?" And Randy's giving that serious consideration right now. Let's say you're at
I was just going to tell you real quick. Every time, my dad, we worked on a ranch outside, and every time a fly landed in our coffee, my dad would say, "Well, he doesn't drink much, and just keep on drinking."
Well, he was a man after my own heart. I have a friend who owned his own mechanic shop, and I got gas one day, and they tell you not to do this, and I swear to God, it happened to me. I got gas at a big gas station, but there was a truck filling up the tanks, and by the time I got home, my car barely ran. So I drove over to his shop, put it up on the rack, and he got the fuel filter off, which had become clogged up with sediment from the gasoline station gas tanks because the truck was there from the refinery filling them up. And he blew into that filter to make sure that it was plugged up. And he said, "Yep, tighter than a bull's ass at fly time."
There you go.
Is that something that you all would say out on the ranch or not?
Yeah, something similar.
Okay. All righty. Well, in any event, what happens when a fly lands on food is the point of this article. She probably used up a whole yellow highlighter on just this one article. For some reason, she thinks that you're going to be vitally interested in this subject. So I don't know how much Medicare time we should blow on this, but what happens when a fly lands on food? It's not just an annoyance. It can be a health risk. Flies are known to carry over 100 pathogens. Now, that seems like a lot of weight for a little tiny fly. This would include bacteria, viruses, and parasite eggs, which can stick to their bodies and legs after contact with contaminated surfaces like manure or rotting food. Because flies don't have teeth, they release digestive enzymes onto food to break it down into a liquid form that they can consume. Ooh, boy, that's appetizing. The problem is that this vomit may carry pathogens from whatever the fly previously ate, posing a potential health risk. These germs can linger on the fly's saliva increasing the risk of disease transmission each time it feeds. This process can leave behind germs or bacteria such as E. coli, salmonella, hepatitis A, and Shigella, causing stomach pain, fever, and diarrhea. How quickly food can be contaminated. It only takes a second for a fly to contaminate your food. You know, you better give an opinion so I can take it back to the content curator, Randy. Otherwise, we're going to have to read this whole 8-page article. I'm not so
So,
sure that.
so what you're trying to tell me then, Doug, is the 5 second rule is no good?
Well, apparently not in the case of flies. If there are no flies around, maybe, but you drop it on the ground as long as it's not on a bunch of cow flop.
Well,
or
I grew up on a ranch. I should be dead then because anything that dropped on the ground, bottom line, I'd just pick it up and eat it if it was less than 5 seconds. Yeah, that's where the 5 second rule came from.
Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. During COVID, I think this was stressed to us that those of us who have stronger immune systems are never going to die. Nothing
Right.
can kill us, and they tried to kill you. I mean, you were slapped into the hospital and into
They
the.
tried. They really tried. I've got one bit of information to share with you. You mentioned about some sort of medication to improve your eyes or look how they look or something.
When was? Oh, no, it was a surgical procedure that's not covered by Medicare.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about this medication that was originally invented to treat glaucoma, and they
Didn't know
just
anything about that.
I assume it worked, but they also discovered that this medication that was originally used to treat glaucoma, which is high
Uh-huh.
pressure in your internal pressure in your eye,
Yep.
also grows eyelashes. So,
Really?
if the glaucoma kills off your sight and you can't see anything, you got some really good looking eyelashes.
Well, there's a whole industry of fake ladies' eyelashes that may be upset to hear about this side effect
I
of this
know.
drug.
I know. I absolutely. Well, I just thought I'd let you know in case you wanted to grow any eyelashes.
Well, I'm satisfied with mine. I've had them for a long time. I don't see any reason to enhance them or replace them. And frankly, I'm not sure I see any reason to go further with the fly landing in your food article. But you might want to mention it to the content curator the next time you see her that you thoroughly were disgusted with your life on the ranch and you're never going to eat food that a fly lands on again.
Well, now that we've got a little bit of time left in the episode, I did have something I wanted to share with you. Bottom line is we've got 2 minutes and no 12 seconds left. I'm not worried about the flies landing on my food. I'm worried about the chemicals in it.
Okay, well, you know something? I am less concerned about that, but I know where you're coming from. This is going to be a Bobby Kennedy conversation, isn't it?
Yes, well, not to that extent, but I'm one of these few people left in the world that drank out of a water hose, a garden hose, and I'm still alive.
I know, and frankly, the content curator had not seen me drink out of a garden hose for many, many years, and I grew up in the country, basically outside. So when I just grabbed a garden hose one time and took a big swig, she screamed in horror. But anyway, you go ahead with your content that you want to have discussed here.
Well, I think that's pretty much the end of my story there. But bottom line is, people they really need to chill out because the bottom line is, if your immune system is worth anything, most of it will be protected away from you.
Absolutely correct. And frankly, the more stuff like that you come into contact earlier in life, the less likely you're going to have all kinds of problems. When I was a kid, pretty much everybody either ate peanut butter or was in the proximity of me who ate peanut
Oh,
butter.
oh
And there was
yeah, really?
never a complaint. But now they can take the peanuts off of an airliner just because one person calls in a peanut bomb
Well,
threat, you
yeah.
know.
I mean, you probably know the pub I'm talking about, but there's a really good pub up in Cave Creek.
Uh,
It's one of my favorites, and
okay.
One of the things I
It's
always used to love.
I know which of the 10 pubs we're talking about likely
Yeah,
here.
there was a 50 gallon wooden barrel filled with peanuts,
Okay.
in the shell.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
you'd walk in there preparing to get your beer, and you'd grab a
Sure.
big bucket full of peanuts, and you'd go over to the bar to start shelling peanuts and eating peanuts. And then pretty soon one day I said, what the hell happened to your peanuts? And they said, oh, the health department made us get rid of them. Okay, well, here's my idea. if you're allergic to peanuts, stay out of my bar.
That's right. That's exactly correct. You own the business. You ought to be able to serve peanuts to people if you want to. And frankly, I don't think this was a result of a peanut allergy or the health department, but my favorite investment has been in the Texas Roadhouse
Yeah.
string of restaurants. Love Texas Roadhouse. And they used to have peanuts that you would, again, shell or peanuts in the shells. You'd grab a bucket full of those things and munch away until your dinner came and throw the shells on the floor. And
Yeah.
then along came COVID. And now, after COVID, they have no peanut shells on the floor. They have sterile plastic shrink wrap bags of peanuts that you can buy from them, or they'll be generous and give them to you. But it's not the same. It is just not the same at all.
You know which bar I'm talking about,
Sure.
up in Cave Creek. I mean, you used to wade in there with your boots. You know, you had peanut shells up to your ankles, and that's the way I like it.
And that's the way it ought to be. And that goes to freedom of choice, which is why we stress the problems with Medicare Advantage so much. Freedoms in America are becoming harder to come by. One of the things that's been going on for decades is the fact that if I own a business and my business has a parking lot, somebody else is going to tell me how much of my parking lot has to be devoted to crippled parking. I
Yeah.
think that should be the owner of the business that makes that decision. If he wants to attract more crippled people, then he should have more crippled parking spots in better locations. But if he never has crippled people come to his business, as so many businesses don't, then like trampoline stores, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. I've never seen that happen in a trampoline store. Okay.
absolutely not. So there are a lot of things like this that Randy and I are firmly in the camp of freedom of choice and no government control on. It should be enlightened self-interest that a business owner is able to occupy or to utilize in his own business expenditures. But I think we're getting pretty close to the time when we have to pull the plug on this thing. And,
We are, because guess what?
oh, I can't guess. I don't know what.
We're out of quarters.
Oh yeah, I should have known that.
Out of quarters. I still have not been able to get an increase in quarters through the board. But even so, I'm going to end out the episode like I always do. There's a few things I have to do. Number one is grab your pencil. Write this email address down, dbj@mlmmailbag.com. That's how you can reach out to Doug, ask a question, make a comment, or do anything else you want to do. Number two, do not forget, he is licensed nationwide to help you with the Medicare supplement planning. Check us out at our brand spanking new shiny website, MedicareForTheLazyMan.com. We would also appreciate you guys getting started, even though it's early in the year. Drop a review for us in your wanderings through the internet, because we want to get a good head start on the travel logs, and we need to get her going today. Last but certainly not least, thank you for joining us. You could have been anywhere else, doing anything else, and you weren't. You were with us, which is exactly where we like to have you. We have just spent, I know you didn't keep track on your watch, but we all together just spent about 32 and a half minutes with Doug Jones, the anti-insurance guy, originally from Oklahoma. No more. He's camped out in the high ground behind Cave Creek, Arizona, in his fortress of solitude. And early in the year, and bottom line is it's really cold today. It's Arizona freezing. I'm going to take it easy on him. I'm going to put him in at 7,200 feet.
I can live with that. 7,200 is, it's not too bad, but it's going to give me an opportunity to stay inside and throw away all my food that flies might have landed on. So thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We will look forward to seeing your smiling faces in our next episode.